There's a very clear message, and most Americans have heard this, that we have to be more physically active. The Surgeon General came out with a report in 1996, now that's over a decade ago, many of us forget, that defined what the minimum amount we should all do. It said, look, at least get 30 minutes of physical activity every day. If you do that, you're going to reduce your risk for all the things that kill us now. Cardiovascular disease, the #1 killer of men and women in America, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, which many people don't realize is a killer. You break a hip as an older person, you're relegated to bed, you might die of pneumonia or a complication, but in the end it was your physical inactivity and those brittle bones that really led to that demise. I've realized that we've, over the last 40 or 50 years, have been designing America primarily for the automobile. That the way we build our cities and towns, we think first about moving ourselves around in cars. And we forgot much of what we did really well in the first half of this century, which was build towns that were great for walking and even bicycling. And we forgot that in part because we got used to the mobility of modern American life. We needed the freedom to be able to go explore the countryside and so on. But the downside of that is that we've made it actually hard, even dangerous, to go walk to the corner store, for our kids to walk to school, for our aging parents who don't drive anymore to be able to walk to the pharmacy. All that stuff is really hard to do now. So when I say I'm a vocal pedestrian advocate, it's because we need to give voice to the notion that livable communities are probably communities where it's much easier to walk and ride a bicycle than we've been making for the last 50 years. The state of Iowa does at least two things that I think put it on the national map that are kind of fitness-oriented. They're kind of classic events. And one is, of course, RAGBRAI, which is this amazing ride across the state, which serves, by the way, to focus people. You know, if you know you're doing RAGBRAI this July, then you're training. So I think it's a catalyzing event. Another one is the Lighten Up Iowa program. I really like it because, again, although it's only a 4-month period, you know, and the notion is to get a group together, a team, and all try to make progress on your health and wellness, whether it's losing weight or just accumulating miles, the goal orientation and the group orientation, what that does is create social support. And a lot of research shows that people are much more likely to embark on and stick with exercise or physical activity if they've got social support, if they've got someone else to do it with, someone else depending on them. I've had the good fortune of working with the folks at your state DOT on your Safe Routes to School program. Safe Routes to School is a national initiative. It was actually funded through the federal highway bill. That's designated as funds that can only be used to improve the environment, both the physical and the social environment around schools for walking and bicycling. 70% of it is to be used for infrastructure improvements. Fixing those crosswalks near the school that haven't been painted in 10 years, improving the signal lights or the phasing on the signals, connecting sidewalks that are missing. What we realize is it's not just about changing the physical infrastructure, but the community has to sort of embrace the notion.
All right, let's go.
One of the interesting tools that's being used all around the country and that they're going to launch there are called walking school buses. The idea is a designated route that an adult walks to school, picking up kids along the way, just like a school bus. We also make bicycle trains, same idea. An adult's going to ride a bike to school, picking kids up along the way on their bicycles. The advantage there is that the concerned parent who says, well, there's a dangerous street, or I'm worried about, you know, predators or something like that. Well, if I've got an adult along, I'm very comfortable with that. So we get a group of parents in a neighborhood to take turns. My wife and I are actually part of a walking school bus with about 12 kids from my neighborhood. We go about 7/10 of a mile to our school, and it's been wonderful. We see the younger kids interacting with the older kids. We see ourselves interacting with the other parents and the other kids in the neighborhood. I know all the kids in my neighborhood so much better than if we weren't walking every day.
Hi, Diane.
Not only do we get this walking to and from school and, of course, the obvious health benefits, but the teachers tell us kids tend to be better behaved. You know, they come in having spent some energy in the morning, they're a little more ready to learn, a little more likely to be calm and ready to be in the classroom. And as I say, I think most important, our neighborhood, I think, feels we've really benefited from it.
Jimmy's going to be over in a minute.